Today I'm going over some of the most popular floral notes used in fragrances. Now I'm not going over all of them because there's about 2,000 different florals you can use in fragrances, so I'm going to stick to a much smaller list. Some of the most commonly used ones, rose, right? Everyone likes the rose note. There are actually several different types of roses. There's Turkish rose, Damask rose, May rose, Bulgarian. You can go on about different roses. They mostly smell the same. There's some variants. Some are maybe a bit sharper and cleaner. Some are warmer and sweeter. So a few variants, but a rose is a rose at the end of the day. And roses are really good, especially you'll find them in middle notes of fragrances to act as that body. And you'll often find them in men's fragrances as well. A lot of people don't realize that men's fragrances can indeed have some very nice floral notes, and often floral notes are necessary even in men's fragrances to balance out some of these harsher notes, like if there's leather or incense or wood notes. You need something sweet and light to kind of add space and make the fragrance more distinguished. So rose is definitely a really good choice because it's an elegant note. It's slightly sweet, not super sweet, just a natural, nice sweetness. And it's a classic note. There are perfumes that are hundreds of years old that use rose in particular, just because it's always been popular, people like it, and it's just a nice, crisp, nice sort of note. Now, another very popular note is lavender. Lavender, people really like lavender essential oils, for example, just pure lavender. And people associate with like tranquility, calmness. It's a very nice kind of calming fragrance, but in general, it's also a very fresh and light sort of fragrance. If you've ever seen some lavender fields, it's a very nice sight, very nice kind of aroma that washes over you. And it's just it's one of those fragrances that pretty much 99% of the population will enjoy. I have never met anyone who dislikes the smell of lavender. Similar to rose, it's slightly sweet, not too sweet. Very good in the middle notes, sometimes top notes. You won't usually find florals in the base notes. Those are reserved for heavier notes. But in general, lavender is a great note. And you'll find it in a lot of different fragrances, whether it's for men or women. If you just look on any list, you have a pretty good chance of finding lavender somewhere in there. Then, another very common one is jasmine. Jasmine is a bit of a heavier note, not quite as fresh and light and playful as rose or lavender. It's more of usually paired with certain base notes like wood notes, incense, leather, that sort of thing. It's definitely a warmer, slightly heavier floral. Maybe not found as often as lavender or rose, still pretty common though. The next on the list is orange blossom. Orange blossom is actually one of my favorites. Very, very sweet for if you've ever smelled a real orange blossom, it's surprisingly sweet. Somewhat like honey in a way, but it's also very kind of reminiscent of springtime or summer. Very light and sunny and fresh. Very, very pleasant. You'll find these in the middle notes mostly, sometimes paired with rose or lilies, that sort of thing. You really can't go wrong with using orange blossoms because they pretty much go well with everything. Very uninvasive, unintrusive sort of fragrance note. Then you have a much more exotic, more distinct floral note, which is ylang ylang. Ylang ylang is especially warm, especially it just has that exotic nature, a little bit like jasmine, but more intense. You'll definitely find this in oriental fragrances with incense notes, balsam notes, amber, and things like that. It's just mainly for that warmer approach to a fragrance. It's also another one of my favorites because it's just really unique. It has that recognizable scent very nice sort of scent. Then you have Lily of the Valley, which, interestingly, you can't really use natural Lily of the Valley in perfumes. You have to get it, you make it synthetically, because I suppose the Lily of the Valley plant, you can't get the oil out of it or something. But besides that, it's a very just pleasant smell, as with most florals. Lily of the Valley is a bit lighter, pretty faint actually compared to some other florals, but still it has that distinct note that it layers especially well, not only with other florals, but like wood notes, sometimes marine notes. And this one also you'll find in a lot of men's fragrances as well as women's fragrances. And then I suppose you can look at orchids. Orchids are less common. They're pretty faint, but again, they also layer well. And they're especially good if you want to add something more unique to a fragrance, you know, just a little extra personality to the perfume. Besides that, those are the main ones. Of course, you have some much rarer floral notes that you can go for. I always think back to Lulu by Cacharal, which is a very, very unique fragrance, which uses something called Tahitian tiare flower, which is the only instance I've ever seen that note used. And it's definitely a very kind of thick, heavy, sweet sort of fragrance. But, of course, those are rare cases. Most of the perfumes that you will find will have the notes that I mentioned. Besides that, if you have any opinions about these notes or fragrances in general, you can leave those down in the comment section below. If you like the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.